What happened this weekend? What lies ahead? Analysis and insight from the inside. This is Big Orange. Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's is the perfect place to rewind after every Tennessee game.
This is Big Orange Rewind. With the voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, and VolQuest.com's Brent Hubbs.
So glad to have you with us as we head down the stretch in November. 2 more games to go for the University of Tennessee's football team. First up, a trip to Florida. Gainesville next Saturday night, 7:30 is the scheduled kickoff time. It'll be later than that. Probably closer to 8. Well, I mean, that's how TV works.
That is how TV works. And TV's in charge.
TV's in charge. There's no doubt about it. We do know this. We're on the air at 5 o'clock Eastern time with Big Orange Countdown. So we look forward to having you join Brent Hubbs and Ramon Foster and Jason Swain and Larry Stone for all the pregame activity. And then we'll have the Vols and the Gators from Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, Steve Spurrier Field, better known as the Swamp, Gainesville, Florida.
Line them up.
Here we go.
Yep, get ready to go.
All right, so as we go, we lead with the news that is really everywhere right now among Tennessee fans, and that is Boo Carter is no longer a member of the Tennessee football team. That's been confirmed by the University of Tennessee at this point. I don't know that it comes as a big surprise, Brent, but in the end, I think if you take the overriding picture of it, in particular with what he did a year ago and how special it looked like he was going to have a chance to be for the University of Tennessee, it is a disappointing end for really all involved.
Well, I think, as you said, if you look at it in totality, there's no disputing the talent that the young man has. There's also no disputing the fact that he was given multiple opportunities to do the things that he needed to do within the program when he weren't doing. He was allowed multiple opportunities to right wrongs, to correct mistakes, to handle himself better, to live to the standard, as Josh Heupel has said. And at some point in time, I think you get to the point where it's inevitable. And I think as you left Neyland Stadium on Saturday night following Tennessee's win over New Mexico State, where he didn't play and he wasn't on the sideline, it was pretty evident that the inevitable was coming.
In particular with what Josh Heupel said at postgame.
Yes, I mean, and mentioned the standard, and you had a sense that this was likely going to be the direction that it went and that it goes. And he has come out. Boo has come out in public and said he's entered the transfer portal. No one's surprised by that. That's been the feeling for a while anyway. But he will not participate. There will not be any further questions about his status, availability and all those things week to week, as it seemingly has been all fall long.
All right, so let's talk about what does Tennessee do the rest of the way at what is the backup nickel, but up until the Oklahoma game, a position that Boo Carter appeared in a lot. He was getting 20-plus snaps as the backup nickel. And then is DeJuan Morris going to be the rest of the season's answer as the punt return?
I think depending on how DeJuan Morris fields kicks in practice, how he fields them in warm-ups, I think that's the direction that they will go at Florida. Now you're talking about fielding on the road in the SEC under the lights. That's different than fielding them in a homecoming game against a non-conference opponent. And I'm not being critical of New Mexico State, but it's a different deal. But I do think that there's some comfort level with him there. I think that has continued. He has fielded a lot of punts in practice. He's fielded a lot of punts in pregame warm-ups, but you still have to make that step. But he is the most logical one because that's where they went Saturday night, and it would only make sense that they would go in that direction, moving forward. Braylon Staley tried it. It didn't go very well at Starkville, Mississippi, obviously with the 2 punts down there to start that game. Could you go back that direction? I guess potentially you could, but I think you're going to start with DeJuan Morris there. As for the backup nickel spot, man, it's a great question. I mean, it's Jalen McMurray, and it's a lot of Jalen McMurray, and you hope Jalen McMurray doesn't get hurt. You hope he doesn't get called for targeting and all of those types of things because, you could go young. Where do you move somebody around? I mean, that's going to be – how they get that ready
Because you don't have a lot of cornerback depth either.
No, you don't. I mean, you could do. I mean, and you know,
William Wright.
I mean, you could take. I mean, could you move Colton Hood to nickel and play William Wright at corner?
Is that your best move?
Yeah, maybe. You know, from a talent experience standpoint, that may be the best way to go.
But do you potentially weaken yourself at two spots?
Which
coaches would always say, well, we don't want to weaken ourselves at two spots.
The reality, though, is Colton Hood has played some nickel, so he's got some experience there. That is a valuable position for what you're looking for in your defense. So, you know, I think that's a great question that we'll find out more about as the week goes along. You know, it didn't really resonate this week. And even when Boo Carter didn't play against Oklahoma, I guess McMurray just played all of the snaps back there at nickel. You could come out of nickel some and play some three linebacker if you felt like a team warranted that. I think that's hard to do with the way teams spread you out now to play in a true three linebacker set. So I think Colton Hood could be certainly a real possibility there. I mean, typically you slide a safety. You know, could Beasley play there? I mean, maybe you rep him and get him ready to have him available to go with Farouk and to go with Andre Turrentine at that position as a possibility. I think what you're hoping for is that Jalen McMurray continues to stay healthy.
The other part of it, the other part of it that I think is important potentially is that neither Florida nor Vanderbilt are wild passing teams. They don't throw 60 times.
Right. No, they don't. And they want to run the football. They throw a lot of sideways stuff, which again, you could take someone who's maybe more of a safety type who could play downhill in the box to play that position and not have to play, quote, a corner. I mean, you go back and look at last year when Boo was coming on and they had Christian Harrison as the nickel. Mm-hmm. They played Christian Harrison very different at the star position than they played Boo Carter. And so Christian Harrison would stay, even if there was a motion and a guy in a shift, he necessarily wouldn't always travel. And what I mean by is moving to the other side or following that receiver over. He would almost rotate down and become an outside linebacker. But with Boo Carter, they would kind of travel more with the receiver. So they played it structurally different depending on who the corner or who the nickelback was. You could certainly look at potentially doing that as well.
Would you not agree that one of the factors that has contributed to some of the issues on defense is that Boo Carter didn't go from year one to year two as the guy they thought he would be?
No question. No doubt. I mean, listen.
He looked like a potential all-conference player.
Well, and Tennessee and everybody made an investment in this day and age for him to come back. I mean, to take that next step. There was a real investment made in Boo Carter. It was public. It was a public investment. He sort of leveraged for more in December. That's the world we live in. He was very public about it. Everybody and every Tennessee fan knows, that there was a restructuring of things for him. So, yeah, you were banking on a lot of things with him there, and you were hoping that because of his athletic ability, his ability to play the run, his ability to cover people, that you could do, you could be really good back there. I mean, if you think about the secondary, you were in December and you said, I think we have a potential all-conference caliber corner in Ricky Gibson.
Yes.
We have an all-conference caliber player, if not an all-American player, in Jermod McCoy.
Yes.
And we think we have a potential second-team, third-team all-conference player at nickel in Boo Carter. And that's what you're going to build around. And you're going to build it around that. Everybody's asked all the questions about, well, why didn't they go in the portal and go big at safety and go big at – well, quite frankly, you could play differently with your safeties if you had those three guys playing at the level you anticipated them being at. Ricky Gibson gets hurt. He's out of the equation. Jermod McCoy gets hurt in January. He's out of the equation. Boo Carter didn't get hurt, but he didn't take the step, and he didn't do the things off the field with his teammates to be a factor in that equation. And it's completely altered how you play defense in the secondary. I'm not making excuses.
No, but it's a fact. Your best defensive player hasn't taken a snap. The guy you thought might be your second best defensive player is no longer with you as of the Sunday following New Mexico State, and he didn't play up to the level he did as a freshman in 2025. And then Ricky Gibson gave you, 18 snaps before he got hurt?
Yeah, I mean, middle of the second quarter, he was out of that game. And so you had invested
in those three players.
Yeah, and not only had you invested financially and everything else, you had spent your summer off season when you talked about, okay, we've lost these players up front. We're different at linebacker. We're here. What is the strength of our defense? What can we do? Our strength is in these three guys in the back end.
Right.
That's where we think our strength lies, and we'll build around that. And then you get to January, okay, we don't have one of those guys. Then you get to 18 plays in the second quarter. Okay, we've lost another one of those guys, our two starting quarters. And then you had in July and all the way through the whole Boo Carter situation.
Well, the whole Boo Carter situation presented itself around 4th of July, somewhere slightly after. It's not like it presented itself in April.
Right.
Or May.
No, you left spring practice thinking, okay, I got
We're
these
good.
two guys I'm going to build around. Colton Hood has been a great arrival for us. So you're sitting here in late June going, okay, I feel good about my corners and I feel good about my nickel. And boy, if Jermod McCoy comes back, I got all kinds of flexibility that I can do things back there. And here's where you are going into your final 2 games of the season. You're not going to have 3 of those components that you spent a good bit of your summer building your defense around.
You certainly think. We don't know about McCoy.
Correct. We'll see what he does. He did more last week, but we'll see if he's a factor. We know 2 of those 3 are not going to be factors for sure.
Time for the Rackley Roofing recap, a breakdown of Tennessee's game against New Mexico State, presented by Rackley Roofing, transforming the roofing industry with unmatched customer service, detailed documentation, and the highest safety standards. Rackley Roofing, the proud official roofer of the Tennessee Volunteers. Overall take from the 42-9 win on Saturday over New Mexico State?
Yeah. I mean, you know, you were never going to lose the game. Tennessee was never going to lose that game. I think the interceptions in the first half were really disappointing because it knocks you out of rhythm. You had 21 points in the first quarter, and then you just sputtered so bad in the second quarter. Defensively, I mean, I think it's 209 yards through the first 3 quarters they gave up. They were solid on third down. They did not force 3 and outs. New Mexico State's a little better football team than I thought they would be. I will say that. You know, were you on edge? Did you have crispness about you? Were you everything you had hoped that to be? No, you weren't. I don't know that anybody internally was totally shocked. Josh Heupel said this on the Vol Network postgame to me. We weren't on edge all week long offensively on the practice field. We have to get that back. We have to be that way. You should be that way now. You're going to Florida. You haven't won there. This is a conference game. You should ratchet it back up. But you got to take better care of the football. There's some things that I think they've taken some steps in the last 2 weeks. You know, when you look at it, penalty numbers are down. I think they had 1 offensive penalty on Saturday night. The pre-snap stuff has been kind of squashed, knock on wood. Tackling has gotten better. They missed 5 tackles Saturday night. They missed 5 against Oklahoma. It's their 2 best days tackling in all season long. So I think there's some positive things there. But man, you just look at the turnovers and you can't make those mistakes. You got to be better with the football offensively to continue the rhythm that you need to have. They just got to take care of the ball better.
That's the Rackley Roofing recap presented by Rackley Roofing, the proud official roofer of the Tennessee Volunteers. When we come back, your text questions at 865-657-1278. That's 865-657-1278. We look forward to hearing from you on this edition of Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's.
Big Orange Rewind.
Sponsored by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Complete coverage for every phase of life.
By the natural gas utilities and pipeline companies in Tennessee.
Natural gas.
Pilot, the official travel stop of the Vols. See you out here. RJV Kubota, with 2 convenient locations in Knoxville and Nashville. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Fall fans, ready to score big on your next home? Clayton Homes, Oakwood Homes, and Love Homes are proud sponsors of Tennessee Athletics and proud to help you find your dream home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for your forever home, their teams across Tennessee have your back. With 29 locations statewide and Energy Smart Homes designed for year-round savings and a lifetime of comfort, it's never been easier to make the move. Stop by today and see why so many families and ball fans trust Clayton, Oakwood, and Love Homes to turn home ownership into a win.
This is Mike Keith, and you're listening to the Ford F-150 Truck Highlight Show. Go Vols! The smart, powerful Ford F-150 turned in another championship caliber performance. Thanks to available Pro Power onboard and outstanding payload numbers, fans will be talking about this tailgate for years to come. For great offers on a new Ford F-150, see your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of Tennessee Athletics.
See Owner's Manual for important operating instructions.
Here's a fresh twist on your typical banking options. What if instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Big bank expertise and small bank savvy. All the resources to help you reach your dreams.
And the personal touch to keep you smiling all along the way. That's First Horizon Bank, the official bank of the Vols.
Rackley Roofing is now the official roofer of the Vols, and Rackley is more than a roofing company. They're part of the communities where they work and live, investing in neighborhoods and opening doors to a career in an industry that's growing year after year. Rackley Roofing's mission is clear: transform the roofing industry with unmatched customer service, detailed documentation, and the highest safety standards. Because Rackley believes the ladder to a great roof is only as good as the people who climb it. Rackley Roofing, building roofs, building futures. Glad to have you with us. 865-657-1278. The text line questions. Ready to get to it?
Let's do it.
I've got some ready to go.
All right.
Kevin in Columbia. It's no secret that Tennessee has not won in the Swamp since 2003. Does Josh Heupel embrace that and preach we can break the streak, or does he low-key it so he doesn't add more pressure to a young team? It's a fine line.
I don't think you talk about the past. I mean, you're talking about 2005. I mean, these guys weren't even born when that game took place. So I don't think you go deep diving down that road. There's some guys on this team that remember 2 years ago. Maybe you're talking about that just from the environment, what you're going to walk yourself into. I think you can go there, but I don't think you deep dive, or I don't think you bring up and discuss openly a lot about, well, it's the last time, it's been so long ago since they won there, this, that, the other. I think your focus is on understanding that Florida's going to be ready to play, and you're going to have to be at your best to play in this game because they're not just going to roll over.
All right, Steve from Humboldt wants to know, how does our offensive line – no, I'm reading it wrong. I can't read. Steve from Humboldt wants to know, how did our offensive line handle Jamal Thompson, New Mexico State's best defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 tackles and the interception that when he dropped in coverage, he was
made a nice play on that.
He really did. He that was an unusual. That was kind of an improv route thing that was an out, and then Kitzelman sort of came back in, and Thompson did a good job beating him back to the spot to take the ball away from him there. But he was not credited with a hurry. He did not have a sack. I thought Tennessee's protection early on was pretty good. There were a couple of times they gave up some pressures. It was okay. I don't think he himself caused a lot of problems. I thought the Christensen kid was a bigger disruptor for them as a defensive lineman than anybody. I felt like he had more success getting in the backfield than anybody on their defensive line did.
Mike from Springfield wants to know, is it possible for Joey Aguilar to get another year? Seems like he could if he wanted, similar to Pavia.
Well, I mean, there's a court case coming, and the question's going to be, what happens in that, and where's the courts at, and all of those types of things. Here's the thing with Joey Aguilar, and I think fans have to remember this, and this is not that Joey Aguilar doesn't love everything about his experience at the University of Tennessee, because he does. But you also have to remember he's getting ready to be 25 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
the longer you stay in college, if you think you're going to take a shot at the next level, the next level's not looking for old guys at the quarterback position that they have to invest a lot of time in. They're fine investing in a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old. But when you start talking about 25, 26-year-olds, where's your investment level in that person? Because if you spend a couple years getting them ready, then where are they at when it's time for them to play?
Well, and look how Detroit did with Hendon Hooker.
Right.
They did not wait around on him as long because, quite frankly, he's older.
Right. And I think if you're Joey Aguilar, one, you're in a very different place than some other quarterbacks in the country are, because your journey's been what it's been.
Sure.
I mean, you didn't play ball for 2 seasons. You were done coming out of high school, basically. And then you get this restart, and then you're in junior college, and the journey to get through junior college was not easy. And then you're at App State, and then you're at UCLA, and then all of a sudden you find yourself at Tennessee. Are you at the point in your life where you say, you know what, I got to go take my shot now and see if I can find something at the next level? I don't want to speak for Joey, but I do think the age part changes this discussion point when you talk about potentially trying to pursue an extra year.
I want to make sure that I understand the right thing in his case based on what he said. He found out on Christmas Eve last year because of Diego Pavia and his case that he, Joey Aguilar, got a 6th year. So do I understand that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So if that's the case, for what folks are talking about, it would take Diego Pavia to win another case,
Correct.
Which in some ways I think would mean that your junior college time doesn't count against you at all.
Correct.
And that he would get a 7th year.
Correct.
And so then Joey Aguilar would have to say, well, if that happened, then this has happened.
And the question is going to be is when is any kind of ruling going to happen on
Right.
that front? I mean, think about the Miles Kitselman situation. He's in the basically the same scenario. He was preparing for the draft and didn't get the note. Didn't really figure out that he was going to be able to get that year until after Christmas.
Right.
And so, I think again, I'm not going to speak for Joey. Does he want to go through trying to win a court battle? And the other thing too is if they make some kind of ruling on Pavia, do they rule it as a blanket ruling? Do they rule it as an individual ruling where everybody's got to do their own appeal?
Well, and of course, Tennessee went through that in baseball.
Right, and didn't win,
Right.
So
because one judge viewed it differently than another judge.
Right. So is it a blanket win for everybody, or is it going to be an individual thing? Is it going to carry across all sports? There's all kinds of variables there, and I don't know where Joey is in terms of wanting to go down that road.
By the way, I want to mention the 19th rated Lady Vols celebrated Senior Day with a 4-set win on Sunday in their match against Oklahoma in volleyball. With the win, Tennessee secured the number 4 seed in the SEC tournament. The Big Orange 19-6 overall, 10-5 in the SEC. Up next, the Lady Vols head to Savannah, Georgia for the upcoming SEC volleyball tournament. Lady Vols earned a double bye. Double byes are always good.
They are good.
And their journey in the conference tournament will start on Sunday, November 23rd. Obviously, because they got a double bye, we don't have any idea who their opponent will be. But congratulations to them and to Eve Rackman-Watt, her 150th career win overall.
Done a nice job with that program. She
Well,
really has.
And I'm going to tell you, too, and you and I have talked about this, this volleyball is really a big thing on this campus now. The student body's really gotten behind it, and they draw well. They play at Food City Center. It's got a great atmosphere. It's really nice to see something else develop that's kind of a thing for everybody to go to. And I know the volleyball players are very excited.
Well, and the thing about that sport is it's a fast-paced sport. It happens fast.
It's a good sport.
It doesn't take 7 hours to play a match. I mean, there's a lot of action going. It's an entertaining sport to watch.
And there's a lot of emotion.
There is a lot of emotion, and it's growing nationally. I mean, it is growing everywhere.
Leaps and bounds.
And, commitments have been made by a lot of schools to be successful, and Tennessee is one of those to up where they are. They had a great run last year. I mean, a great run through the postseason last year.
Okay, Tampa Vol in Memphis. Now, that's interesting. Stop and think about that for a second. Tampa Vol in Memphis. Wouldn't you think Tampa Vol would be in
Maybe Tampa.
Tampa?
Maybe. But maybe he's originally from Tampa.
That
and
away.
He's been transferred to Memphis.
There you go.
Perhaps.
Tampa. We love you, Tampa Vol.
Yeah. Or maybe he's visiting family.
Maybe he is. Tampa Vol in Memphis wants to know, what's the best homecoming game in our storied history? And he provides choices. Are you ready?
Sure.
1929 Alabama.
Okay.
1939 Alabama.
Okay.
1949 Alabama. 1959 LSU. 1989 Georgia. 1990 Florida.
I was around for the Florida. You might have covered some of those other games.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Florida game, and it was a terrific game.
45-3.
So for my personal preference, I would just, because of recollection, I would say 1990 Florida. But
you're wrong.
I know. That's why I've yielded to the historian to tell me why I'm wrong. And which how many of these games were you at? Were you at the 59 game?
No.
Did you cover the 49 game?
Yes, I was there for that. I was there. I was a young reporter.
You're a young Cub reporter?
The answer is one of two.
Okay.
1939 Alabama, because that was the famous Johnny Butler run, which is arguably the greatest run in Tennessee history.
Is that the one they did the photo, the black and white photo that has all the captions?
It's amazing.
I have that photo at my house. My grandfather had that photo that hung in his business over in South Knoxville. So,
if you go back and can watch it anywhere, it is truly amazing. Johnny Blood Butler. I mean, it's a thing of beauty. Tennessee won the football game over Alabama in convincing fashion. Obviously, the regular season that the Vols were unscored upon.
Right.
1959 LSU is the right answer. You beat the defending national champions, the team ranked number 1 in the country. It's one of 2 wins ever over a number 1 team that Tennessee has. You stopped Billy Cannon on the 2-point conversion at 14-13. And John Ward had a famous story about this. You know, he was the PA announcer at the time. He was not the voice of the Vols. He was the PA announcer. And he claimed, and of course, because he was John Ward, no one would ever dispute this. And let's just say on the record right here, I'm not doing it either. I'm going to recount the story.
Okay.
He apparently said while they were unstacking the players on the 2-point conversion, the tackle made by Charlie Severance, as they were unstacking the players, John Ward on the PA said something to the effect of, he did not make it. And the officials reacted by giving the sign that it was no good. Is that true? Of course it is. John Ward said it. So I don't know if it's true. He loved to tell that story, and he did not tell a lot of stories about certain things, but he liked to be part of that lore. Because the LSU people to this day will tell you that the great Billy Cannon, the Heisman Trophy winner in 1959, the man over whom there was a lawsuit between the NFL and the AFL, they will tell you he made it. Tennessee fans certainly know that the ruling was completely correct and that he did not make it. But there was not initially a signal, and John claimed that once he said he didn't make it, the officials then signaled.
So John Ward's taking credit for the win?
You just said that.
Just
so
saying.
you can get all that. You send all those letters.
I didn't hear the story. I'm asking you because you're telling the story.
I'm relating the story because you know, I mean, what was that? That's nearly 70 years ago. It's hard to believe. The amazing thing about that is Tennessee won that game to go to 5-1-1. And it was essentially the end of the Bowden-White era. They didn't win another game that year. They won 6 the next 2, and they were disappointing, and then went 4-6 in 1962. But that was the moment because he'd had the great start in 55. He came back and won 6 games out of nowhere. In 56, undefeated SEC champions. 57. They were the Gator Bowl champions, beating Texas A&M in the famous 3-0 game. 58 was a disaster. Lost to Chattanooga that year. And then in 59, they had come back. They had gotten their feet about them. And again, they win this game over the defending national champions. Paul Dietzel had the different teams that he played. He had different units. I mean, they were just loaded.
Right.
And they ended up, of course, and that was the year LSU had the famous Halloween night run on the punt return by Billy Cannon, 89 yards to beat Ole Miss 7-3. I mean, there are all these things in this lore, and you can probably tell I love that sort of thing, which is why I love the John Ward part of the story, is that he allegedly convinced the officials. Now, there are others that didn't, and I saw them to John's face tell him, older people, not me, older people say, that's not true. But I loved it so much I wanted to share.
Sure,
because this is Big Orange Rewind, and that is a rewind.
That is a rewind.
More of your questions. We got some winners coming up here, too. We got some exciting ones. I look forward to your questions. And don't ask about 59 because I know you don't want to hear me.
I enjoyed that story.
Thank you very much. You don't really.
No, I really do.
No, you didn't. You're playing on your phone.
No, I'm sitting here looking at it. I'm
texting someone.
I'm looking at a story.
You're ordering food.
No, Noah Taylor wrote a story for us.
Noah Taylor is good at his job.
Yeah, and so he's doing some freelance stuff with us. He also does his own Twitter feed and things, and he wrote about that game. And so I was looking up some of the stuff from that game as you were telling that story.
So did I have most of it right?
Yeah, I was sitting here looking at stuff that Jim Cartwright, had talked about.
The blocking back.
Yeah, the blocking back in that deal. And so anyway, I was listening to your story and I was interweaving it into the story.
Does
that
it
Noah
say
had
anything
written.
about Warren Rabb?
Yes, it absolutely talks about Warren Rabb.
The quarterback for the Bengal Tigers?
Yes, certainly does. It's good stuff. Good story, by the way. I like those questions because I get to learn. I like to come and get educated.
Well, you had the wrong answer, which was why I had to help you.
Well, I knew, but you don't think I was, you really thought I thought the 1990 game was the greatest homecoming
it was great. Von Reeves threw a touchdown pass to Carl Pickens.
It was terrific. And by the way,
Dale Carter's kickoff return.
While we're talking about John Ward, that's one of the greatest intros to a Tennessee football broadcast.
I think it's the greatest one.
I mean, that one is, to me, that's the gold standard of getting, because it's almost like he could understand and visualize the rivalry that was being born.
Yeah, that and the fact that there had been a situation that had occurred on campus the day before where some players had gotten in trouble and people were down because it was just a difficult. The whole thing was difficult and later exonerated, by the way. But it was just people were down,
right?
And John just kind of brought you back to where it all was into that moment as the crowd roars, and roars and roars.
It's the standard. It's the gold standard.
It's the best.
Yep.
All right. This is Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's, 9 convenient locations in Knoxville and surrounding areas. Your text questions for us at 865-657-1278.
Tennessee pride runs deep from Neyland Stadium to the family farm. At Farm Credit Mid-America, we stand behind the Tennessee farmers who feed and fuel our nation, just like we cheer for the Vols on game day. Because we understand that whether you farm every day, only on the weekends, or simply enjoy time on property outside of town, we have loans to fit your needs. Because farming matters, and so does every play, every harvest, every heartbeat of Tennessee. Learn how Farm Credit Mid-America serves the great state of Tennessee at FCMA.com. Loan subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Farm Credit Mid-America is an equal opportunity lender.
At home or on the road, one team is always undefeated. The team at Pilot. This is Josh Heupel. At home, Pilot has Vol fans top of mind with preserving the name and legacy of our beloved Neyland Stadium. On the road, Pilot has all you need to make the most of every drive. Preserving the home of the Vols and fueling your game day road trips and tailgates. It's Pilot for the win. See you out here.
UT fans know it takes teamwork to win. And when you choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, you get a team who served Tennesseans for 80 years. From babies to seniors, big needs to small, we offer health coverage that fits your life and your budget. All from a company right here in your community. Now that's what we call a big win. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
Tennessee fans, your game day isn't complete without Calhoun's. Whether you're inside Neyland Stadium for the game or tailgating on campus or at home, Calhoun's has you covered with shareable small bites, family feed packs, and party platters. Imagine your tailgate piled high with hickory smoked ribs, tender pulled pork, and that famous barbecued chicken. The best of Tennessee on one plate. Call ahead or order online and make your game day legendary. Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
A look back and what's next. Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
This season, enjoy and celebrate with the great refreshing beverages that support the University of Tennessee athletics. Light and crisp, truly hard seltzer, Twisted Tea, real brewed iced tea with a twist of lemon, Modelo, brewed for full-time ball fans, Coors Light, choose chill, and Vol Lager from Yeehaw Brewing Company, distributed across the Volunteer State by Cherokee Distributing. Remember, celebrate responsibly, and 21 means 21. Ready to go back to the text line?
Let's do it.
865-657-1278. Barb from Bristol. 2 questions from Barb.
All right.
How would you rate Tennessee's linebacker play without Arion Carter? And what does Joey Aguilar need to do to better protect the football?
2 good questions. Let's start with the linebacker question. I like what Edwin Spillman is doing. I think he's getting better and better. I think that Jaden Pilati has a really bright future because he plays really violently and is really athletic, really fast. I'm sure he's still making a lot of mistakes. I do feel like that the last couple weeks they've communicated better. After the Kentucky game, I think they've cleaned some communication things up between all levels of the defense. So I think they've been pretty solid at that position. I mean, I think Spillman's really starting to hit his stride. And, you know, I think he's where he's supposed to be more often than not now. And I think he's finishing plays better than he did early on when he was just kind of a blitzing guy. I think you can use him in a lot of different ways because I think he is getting some tread on the tires and settling in.
All right, Joey Aguilar protecting the football.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that you look at, and I'm no quarterback expert, but I think Joey, 2 of the interceptions that stand out to me the last 2 weeks as bad throws, bad decisions, bad plays. The interception he threw, the second interception he threw Saturday night in the New Mexico State game, and the interception he threw right before the half in the Oklahoma game. And I think if you look at both of those, there was some pressure close to him, either at his feet or coming on him pretty hot and heavy. And his feet aren't right. His feet aren't set. He's not in a great throwing posture, and he's trying to arm throw it. Now, he had the one play, Mike, where he threw it to Star Thomas where he was getting tackled. You can make that throw to me because it's a 7-yard throw. It's hard to arm throw it 35 yards down the field.
Right.
And I think when he's not stepping into the ball to throw a deep ball like that, the accuracy becomes an issue with him. And if you think back throughout the year, when there's pressure, there's not pressure there, he has had a tendency to sail the ball. The ball has gotten high. It has gone high. Whether that is not setting his feet the right way in the RPO game, which is what Josh Heupel told me at the half in the Syracuse game in the opener, which was causing some high throws early in that game, particularly on some of the sideline cuts and some of the quick out type stuff. It's about footwork for him. And I think he gets himself in trouble when he doesn't set his feet when he's throwing a vertical shot or throwing the ball deep down the field. He's got his footwork has to get better.
All right, so I've got a couple of people who are not happy. You ready?
Sure.
Lex Paul.
Okay, Lex. Are you upset tonight, Lex?
Why are we playing these poor blanks from New Mexico? Why aren't we playing SEC teams or Southeast teams at the very least? Nobody has any interest in watching us romp on these B teams from another planet. Again, this is Lex Paul. This is not me. The football powers need to stop being greedy and let's do something constructive. For the love of God, Lex Paul, not happy.
Lex did not. He's not going to put this homecoming win into his top 10.
Would not be in his top 10.
It's not going to make it.
No.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for him is that they're getting ready to go to 10 games, which are the type of games he wants to see. There's going to be 9 conference games in the SEC, and there's going to be 1 against a Power 4 opponent. And then your other 2 are going to be 2 that he doesn't like you playing because they're going to be payday games, they're going to be money games, and they're going to be games where you should romp all over him, so to speak.
And let's get into why that is. Because you're going to be in a situation where you're going to have 5 away games. Most programs of this size, virtually all of them, they need 7 or 8 home games for the budget.
Mm-hmm.
They got to have it. They can't play 6 at home and 6 on the road. The math doesn't work because, in large part, among the Power 4 schools, the football programs fund a lot of the other sports as well. So the what they make off a home game is incredible, even if they have to pay a good bit for an opponent, as they did in the case of New Mexico State. It's part of it. It's why you're going to see the UABs, and generally an in-state team is going to be here. And this follows another question, which is kind of interesting. And let me pull this up real quick because it ties right in. Mike from Nashville wants to know, is the Memphis football series dead? I don't think dead is the right word. I just think it would be hard realistically for both schools because Tennessee has to play a Power 4 school every year as part of their non-conference. They would want the other games that they would play. And when you play a Power 4, you're going to play Georgia Tech home and home.
Right.
You're going to play Washington home and home. You're going to take on some opponents like that where you go home and home with them. You've got to go back to them. In that situation, it would be hard to go home and home with Memphis. And Memphis is at a point now where you would think they would want a home game.
Oh, they would.
Sure.
And they're not going to do 3 games in Knoxville and 1 game in Memphis. They would want 1 for 1.
Sure. And you understand where their point would be too. But from an SEC school standpoint, you don't see a lot of SEC schools running out to play Memphis right now. I mean, Arkansas did. That didn't work out very well.
Right.
But the point was, it wasn't as much about, it was you get into a home and home situation, and if you're playing a Power 4 school, which has to be a home and home in most cases, then with the 9-game conference schedule, that makes it virtually impossible financially.
It does. Here's the other thing too. The last time those two teams put a series together, lawmakers got involved to make it happen.
Well, that's how it started.
Right. And so they tried to get it I mean, I don't see in any way that that's a direction with the future of scheduling that's taking place that you're gonna go that route. Again, you never say never, but you're looking for that Power 4 opponent. I'm going to be curious to see too, by the way. One other note, New Mexico State, just for clarification, $1.6 million is what they were paid to play in Knoxville. I'm going to be, and not next year and not even the next couple of years, where does this Power 4 game go in terms of the requirement by the SEC?
Well, do you do what they're doing in basketball and do a challenge?
Well, and the other thing too is, do you continue to tell your schools you have to do those when the other conferences are not doing those?
Right.
There's a real discussion point that doesn't really apply to Tennessee right now because of the playoff situation. But there's going to be a growing discussion point over the next couple of weeks when the playoff stuff continues to get announced on Tuesday nights. What is the value of strength of schedule?
Mm-hmm.
And the belief in the SEC and what was kind of pitched to everybody in the SEC based off last year and what the committee said at the end of last year and some of the tweaks that they made is there was going to be a whole lot more value placed on the strength of schedule. Through 2 weeks of the rankings, we haven't seen that yet.
Bunk.
It's not shown up.
Bunk.
So if it's not going to show up, what's the point?
That's it.
And I think that's the interesting part when we try to figure out if this is going to be a 16-team playoff. Does it become a 24?
But
What is it going to be? And then do you schedule those games?
But, Brent, we know it's not a big factor in the basketball season.
Agreed.
We've seen it. They say, well, now you've got to play
it changes every year what they're looking for.
Well, but they say it. Well, you've got to play a great schedule. No, you don't. You got to win a bunch of games and do well in your conference and things of that sort. But things haven't made sense with how they've said that.
Right. So at 9 games in this league beating up on each other, where does that go to the point that somebody says, and the real push to the commissioner is, God, it's a waste of time. We're just beating ourselves up even more playing one of these games.
But it's good for your TV package.
It is good for the TV package. I don't disagree with that. But is it I think the question becomes, all right, I get everything's TV. I work to TV money, TV. But at the same time, too, is it adversely affecting year-end money with playoff numbers, with where you're seated, your best opportunity to further win?
You're going to say you're talking like a coach.
I know, and the coaches are going to be talking that way to their ADs and their presidents,
and their ADs have to make a budget. They have to come up with the revenue sharing.
And if I'm a coach, I'm going to say, let me see your revenue if we're not playing one of these games versus playing one of these games. Tell me how much money you're losing.
And they're probably not going to show it to you.
But I'm going to ask, aren't you?
Not sure.
Show me how much money this is worth.
Absolutely.
Show me how much money it's worth for me to play home and home with Washington.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's fun to argue with.
Yeah, well, the whole playoff growth is going to be pretty interesting to watch.
We got to get a break. We're back with more. This is Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's. Great text questions tonight. Lex Paul not happy. Hopefully we got that answered. We've got more of your text questions coming up on the Ball Network.
UT fans know it takes teamwork to win. And when you choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, you get a team who served Tennesseans for 80 years. From babies to seniors, big needs to small, we offer health coverage that fits your life and your budget. All from a company right here in your community. Now that's what we call a big win. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
You're shopping for hard-working apparel or searching for the right ration for your cattle, Co-op is here to supply your rural lifestyle. With just the right selection of products to help round out your chore list, our family of co-ops is driven to serve everyone living in Big Orange Country, supplying essential supplies for the farm and home. Find a location near you by visiting ourcoop.com and go Co-op.
In this town, we don't just root for the team. We are the team. We rise before the sun, stay long after the lights go out. We are Big Orange Country. And with this team stands another, UT Medical Center. We heal the hurt, fuel the comeback, keep Vol Nation stronger, tougher, together, with care that never lets up. UT Medical Center, official healthcare provider of the Vols, and all of Vol Nation.
In Tennessee, we know the power of tradition and the energy it takes to keep it going strong. Just like the Vols fight for every yard, natural gas delivers reliable energy every single day. From heating our homes on cool fall Saturdays to fueling industries across the state, natural gas keeps Tennessee running, cleaner, stronger, and ready for the win.
Natural gas.
An unwavering supporter of the Vols for over 50 years.
The Big Orange Rewind continues, presented by Calhoun's.
Your text questions, we welcome them. Gino wants to know, can you explain to me why Josh Heupel tries to run 3 running backs? There is no successful program from high school on up that does that. Why does he think he can? Okay, I lost him there. Anyway, needs to touch the ball 25 to 30 times. That should be Bishop. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, there certainly have been programs through the years that have been successful with three tailbacks. Now, that doesn't mean three tailbacks are getting even amount of carries. In Tennessee, I mean, Deshaun Bishop has the most carries of anybody on the team. I think it is interesting, Darrell Sims' philosophy is that he is rotating every two series in the first half, and then he kind of settles into whoever kind of the hot hand is, so to speak. I thought Bishop got out of the gates really hot on Saturday night. You know, he had an 11-yard run to start, and a 5-yard run, an 8-yard run, and then a 1-yard run, which was the touchdown run. And then he rotated out. And then he came back in and had a 12, 5, and 1, and that was his first half carries. So was he hot? You know, could you look at that and say, man, he was cooking and you keep cooking there? Or do you go the 2-2-2 essentially through the first half and then marry into somebody in the second half? I do think Deshaun Bishop is a guy who gets better as the game goes along.
Well, here's what I think. I think we might have been headed toward that last night because Bishop had a 17th carry that was called back due to penalty, and then he caught the pass and got hurt.
Right.
And he didn't play again after that. I think there's a real chance he goes over 20 carries in this game against New Mexico State.
Yeah, and I think he's better in the second half. I think the numbers bear that out. My thing is, do you have to go 2-2-2 with three guys to start the game, or is that one of those truly feel things going, hey, this guy's seen it real well. Let's just keep riding him right now, and then we'll get to a rotation. Whenever we get to a rotation, let's keep riding the hot hand.
Keep you updated on what's going on the Vol Radio Network. Monday night basketball, Vols take on Rice. The Rice Owls come to Food City Center. Tip-off is set for 8:30 Eastern Time. We are on the air with Inside Tennessee Basketball. That comes your way at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Monday night basketball from Food City Center, Tennessee, and Rice.
Miss any of today's Rewind? Catch the full podcast with Mike Keith and Brett Huff. UTSports.com. We are the Vol Network. Exclusive guest, insider analysis. You know what happened, find out why and how, and what happens next. This is Big Orange Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Grab a taste after the next Tennessee game. Calhoun's.
It's Florida week. Tennessee gets ready to go to Gainesville for what will be the final time as the Gators are a regular opponent of the Vols, at least for this incarnation of where the Southeastern Conference is. Tennessee has played Florida every year since 1990. The 1990 and 91 games were the regular rotations in what was the old 10-team conference. It was just happenstance that began, or those two games took place, I should say, before the 92 conference expansion, which cut the SEC into divisions, and Tennessee began playing Florida every year from that point on. So it has gone on for over 30 years that two opponents, which had very rarely played until 1990, have been together for 30-plus years. Tennessee will host Florida in 2027. They will go back to Gainesville in 2029. That's how it is now, as Tennessee's regular opponents are Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Alabama. Those are the only three teams that Tennessee will see every year.
Yep, and, again, first version of this, we'll see what happens moving on down the road, if there's further expansion and further maybe they're playing 10 conference games. Who knows what this thing turns into? But it's going to be unusual next year to not have Florida on the schedule, to not have Georgia, that you're playing there as your regular opponents. But you're going to see them on a pretty regular basis, just not every year. And there's a lot of adjustments that are being made and being asked to be made by fans and everybody with the adaptation and the growth and the evolution of college football. One of those is some of your traditional games and some conferences are not going to continue to take place. Some of those, even out-of-conference rivalry games, are not taking place. Bedlam, for example, with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I think the other thing, too, is fans are going to have to adapt to the understanding that there's not going to be a litany of 12-0 teams and 11-1 football teams, particularly in the Southeastern Conference. Just look at what took place on Saturday. Florida scared the heck out of Ole Miss, and that was a Florida team that was DOA leaving Lexington, Kentucky. They were done. But then they rally and get there. Who had Oklahoma going to Alabama and winning that game? Kudos to Brent Venable for winning that game. Alabama's schedule stacking up week after week probably caught up to them just a bit, if you will. What we saw in College Station with Texas A&M and South Carolina is just mind-boggling. 30-3 at the half, and you didn't finish that one off. Think about South Carolina, how close they were to knocking off Alabama at home, and then they blow a 27-point lead at the half. My point is, I don't say get used to losing because that doesn't sound like the right attitude, but you got to understand the direction this thing's going. People aren't running the table. You're not rolling the ball out and beating a lot of conference opponents by 3 scores, and by the time you get to the midway through the third quarter, you're making your dinner plans and your celebration, and, hey, we got this, it's no big deal. That's not how a lot of these games are going to be played in this league moving forward.
All right, let's take a look at the next question that we have on the text line at 865-657-1278. Mark in Carmel, Indiana.
Carmel.
I think one of the most underreported events in UT football history was the brawl between Tennessee and Florida in Gainesville in 1977. Danny Pert Jenkins tracking Doug Dickey down, putting him in a headlock, and then getting destroyed by several Florida players. What do you all remember about that? And have you heard from Pert, one of my all-time favorites? What's he doing now?
Take me to school, Mike Keith.
Okay, so this is the game where Kelsey Finch had the 99-yard touchdown run. This is John Major's first season at Tennessee. Florida is heavily favored. The game is 17-all. Tennessee is playing what to that point is their best game of the year. Florida takes over down the stretch, pulls away to win 27-17. At the end of the game, Florida is still throwing into the end zone. Some Tennessee players do not like this at all. And it got very out of hand afterwards. There was not a circle of guys at midfield after the game. There was, but it was a different scenario. I mean, it was.
We weren't doing jersey swaps?
No, there were no jersey swaps or hugs or.
Nobody's posing for photos.
No.
Did you find that a little odd? By the way,
I find the whole thing odd.
I
find the whole thing weird.
I mean, it's.
I do not want to see my player holding up another team's jersey. I do not. That's another story.
I just think of that because of the great Tim Priest. It bothered Tim Priest so bad at the end of the game. Like, just everybody should go to their locker room and be done and just get out of there. So anyway, I digress.
Well, he comes from a different perspective than I do. You said specifically about jersey swaps,
right?
That's upsetting. Anyway, this was upsetting. And, of course, Doug Dickey had the history. He had left Tennessee. It was certainly controversial at the time when he did.
Sure.
And it was heated. And in 1977, it was heated. And
they went after him.
Well, there was some of that, yeah. I mean, it was a whole thing.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there's not been a ton of instances where players have gone after the
Well,
other
I've always
head
heard
coach.
this. I remember this game was not on television.
Okay.
So I've just seen pictures. And so I don't know what's what in terms of how the stories go. I know there was a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very aware of that, and I have seen pictures.
So maybe it was the coaches trying to break it up, and then they get in the middle of it.
I mean, I think it was pretty because Pert Jenkins was a tough guy. I mean, you're talking about a guy all conference in 1977. 92 tackles, 5 sacks. I mean, he's a tough guy. Elizabethton, Tennessee. The last I heard, he was doing really well. Somebody was telling the story that he was great. Now, I haven't seen him lately, but he was a favorite of Tennessee fans.
Oh, sure.
Because, I mean, he flat brought it. I mean, between he and Jimmy Noonan and guys like that, I mean, there were some guys who, I mean, they didn't have much on the 77 team.
But they were fighting for their school.
Oh, gosh.
They were fighting for their school.
And that's what this was about after this game. This was about honor and pride. And, you know, I don't know what was said. I don't know what exactly happened, but it is a legendary. But that is the day of Kelsey Finch's 99-yard run from Sheffield, Alabama. Kelsey Finch.
I like it when you go to class.
No, you don't.
We need to get a little bumper drop when you start going to class.
fun.
No, I'm serious. I like it when you go to
Mike,
school.
Yeah, Uncle Mike starts.
Professor Mike takes us into the lab there.
Stop.
I like it.
Just quit.
The historical.
Mark wants to know, why not just an announcement about McCoy? I assume he's talking about Jermod. Why not just an announcement about McCoy one way or the other? That's what Mark wants to know.
Because it's not determined. It's not. I mean, he's trying to play. If he wasn't trying to play, why go to the practice field and go through team periods? You know, why be a part of the defense? Why be as involved as you are if you were just shutting it down? But what are you going to do? You're going to come out and say he's playing this week, and then something comes up in the rehab process as he continues to get back that he doesn't feel comfortable going out there, or you know, he's not cleared to play, or whatever the case may be. I mean, it's. And I know everybody wants a black and white answer. Sure. He's playing or he's not playing. You know, and I'm not saying I understand where you get your hopes up and you say, well, I heard he practiced a lot more this week, and what does that mean, and all those things. He may not play all year long. I don't know. But what I can tell you is he has not shut it down.
No.
He has not said, hey, I'm out of here. Thanks for the memories. I'm off to the NFL. I'm off to the combine. I'm off to prepping for that. He is doing everything he can to try to get back to play. Now, are some around him? I'm sure he's hearing lots of opinions, you know, about what's best for you and all of those types of things. But the reason there's no definitive answer is because there's no definitive answer. He's trying to play. He may or may not get there. So we'll see. I don't know what he's going to do this week. I don't know if it's possible or not. We'll see how much practice he goes through and kind of where he's at the end of the week when the injury report comes out.
And for Josh Heupel, he really can't say much. Because he's consulting with so many different people who have Jermod McCoy's best interest in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Family, medical, rehab, coaches, I mean, on and on and on. And then Jermod.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is really working hard. I mean, I could just tell you that much without giving anything away. I mean, he's working his rear end off. And you really have to appreciate that sort of effort. But I think you also have to appreciate the position that Josh Heupel is in, that he must protect the player and the program long term. Because if you don't have your players' backs in these situations, if you're not going fully out for them right now, you're going to live to fight another day. It would be better for Tennessee if Jermod McCoy were playing right now. That would be great.
Sure.
Would it be best for Jermod McCoy?
I think that's the yin and the yang of it. That's the discussion point, obviously. Here's the other thing, too, and I think this gets lost a little bit. There's no two ACL injuries that are the same.
That's correct.
And so just because Zakai Ziegler, for example, got back earlier than expected, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with Jermod McCoy, or he hasn't done this or he hasn't done that, and all of those types of things. There's so much going on in the knee. And when you have one of those tears, there's so many different layers of potential injury surrounding the ligament itself. It can be extremely involved or it can be extremely clean. Some people's rehab goes very flawlessly. Other people's rehabs don't. And that's not just with ACL injury. That's with any injury.
Right.
And so I think fans kind of get lost in that, and they say, well, this guy got back in 4 months or 6 months.
Well, they think about Adrian Peterson when he came back from his ACL in 7.5 months and went crazy running the ball for the Minnesota Vikings. They're like, well, why can't everybody do that?
and everybody's body's not made the same, and the injury is not the same.
Well, and he had a clean tear. They just fixed, the tear.
And he might be an easy healer. He might be a guy who heals well. Some people develop scar tissue issues while they're in their, rehab and recovering. No two players' rehab goes the same, and no two players' injury is the same.
All right, here's another text question at 865.
Are we going back to class?
No.
Oh.
This is an opinion.
Okay.
You're good at these.
Yeah,
865. You're good. You've got an opinion on everything. 865-657-1278. Justin in Georgia. Is Florida more of a surprise with a negative season, or Vandy a positive this year as Tennessee's next two games? So is Vandy's success a bigger surprise than Florida's rough year, or vice versa?
I would take Florida. I would say Florida's rough year because I don't think DJ Lagway has taken the step that you thought that he would take. Defensively, they have some good players. They're good up front on the defensive line. They're not as dynamic offensively as anybody thought. They've certainly had a turnover problem. I think a lot of people thought Vanderbilt was maybe going to take a bit of a step back, but they were bringing Diego Pavia back, and they were bringing Swaggers and Stour back, and they were bringing Belief back. So I don't think anybody thought they were just a blip on the radar screen a year ago, that they were going to just fall off the end of the earth, so to speak. Have they won a couple of games that maybe, traditionally they haven't won? Yeah, but I mean, what win do they have that is a shocking win or is a stunning, I can't believe they won that football game? Not many of those. I mean, their football team at LSU was. And
Auburn.
And Auburn. So I think they have done a really good job, and I'm not taking anything away from Vanderbilt. And I'm in a complimentary way, I'm saying I'm not surprised. Am I surprised they're a playoff caliber team or they're in the playoff hunt right now? Yeah, I mean, if you'd have told me back in the preseason that's where they were going to be, I would say that surprises me. But if you were told me that Florida's not going to go to a bowl game, I'd have been stunned. So that's the difference.
Well, on paper, they looked like they had a really good club.
Yeah, they looked like they were going to be a very viable playoff contender.
And then they lose to South Florida.
And it just has been hard ever since.
Yes. But they did beat Texas.
They did.
I mean, they did. I mean, they are hardly the 3-7 team that New Mexico State is.
Correct. I mean, their level of athlete is different than New Mexico State. And I mean, they did beat Texas, and they have struggled to stop the run the last 2 weeks, but they've also not rolled over. I mean, they rolled over at Kentucky, but they didn't roll over last week.
Is it fair to – well,
Georgia.
And Georgia.
Look what they had in the Georgia
game.
Rivalry game, but look how they played there.
Well, I mean, they're ahead.
Yeah.
They were ahead of Ole Miss at the half.
Yep. Well, they were ahead deep into the third – I guess into the fourth quarter in that game.
Yeah.
So –
But – I think you would agree that no matter their record, if Tennessee goes to Gainesville next Saturday night and wins, it's a significant win for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because you've had a hard time winning that game. Because you've lost that game every way possible. Under Josh Heupel, you haven't been the best road team. Okay, the last couple of years, you haven't been the best November team. Your schedule's been harder than November than it was years ago, obviously. But you haven't been a great November team the last couple of years. Listen, there's not many wins that are bad wins.
No.
Okay, and you go down there and win. I mean, it's a win, and that's a win that counts. That is a quality win. I don't care what their record is. Given the history and the struggles you've had playing down there, even recently. That's a significant win.
If I told any Tennessee fan before the season, you're going to win in the Swamp, they would go, yeah.
Yeah, no question. It doesn't change. I mean, it's again, take all the playoff or bust mentality out of the equation. It's Tennessee and Florida.
Right.
And they have beat you seemingly every way possible that venue.
And laughed at you.
And laughed at you the whole way through. So, yes, it is a big win if you can go down there and get it done.
Does Kentucky stand a realistic chance against Vanderbilt?
That's an interesting game to me. And here's why. I don't think Kentucky's defensive front gets enough credit. I think they're better in the front than people want to realize they are. I don't think they're as good in the back end as they've been, but I do think they're stout up front. I think Kentucky's offensive line has kind of found themselves because they got a quarterback back there, so maybe they don't feel like they're beating their head against the wall the whole time because the quarterback can do some things and they can get it out of their hands.
He's a pretty good player.
Well, they've created something around him. They've taken Cutter Boley's skill set where he's at right now, and they've made it work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've taken a young player and said, what does he do well? Let's build some things around that, create some balance, and guess what? We might be able to run it a little bit better, and they have. Vanderbilt's defense has not played well. The open day came at a great time for Vanderbilt, much needed. How much are they recharged after their defense had leaked and given up points the couple of previous weeks, a lot more than they had in early October when they were playing really well. I'm intrigued by that game. I am, because I think Kentucky's riding some momentum. Vanderbilt's all the pressure's on Vanderbilt because they've got to keep winning to stay in this thing. How do they handle that?
Get a break and be back with more of your text questions at 865-657-1278. Big Orange Rewind is brought to you on the Vol Radio Network by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
Big Orange Rewind on the Vol Network.
Sponsored by Food City, the official supermarket and tailgating headquarters of the Vols. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Complete coverage for every phase of life. Alumni Hall, the ultimate volunteer shopping experience. By Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee, the official insurance of the Vols. Tennessee Insurance for Tennessee Life. Co-op, proudly supplying your rural lifestyle in Big Orange Country. And by UT Medical Center, the official healthcare provider of the Vols and all of Vol Nation.
Tennessee fans, the Vol Shop has everything you need to support the Big Orange with a 15,000 square foot store in the Student Union and other locations on Cumberland Avenue, in the University Commons, and inside Neyland Stadium. The Vol Shop is stocked full of official gear and exclusive apparel. The Vol Shop is your go-to retailer for Tennessee merchandise. If you can't make it to campus, shop online at utvolshop.com and be sure to follow them on social media. The Vol Shop, the official campus store of the University of Tennessee.
It's football time in Tennessee, and that means it's time for Calhoun's. Whether you're headed to the game or watching from home, make Calhoun's your pregame, postgame, and every game headquarters. From hickory smoked pulled pork to the legendary ribs, juicy burgers, and mouthwatering brisket, Calhoun's delivers the flavor that fuels Big Orange fans. With 9 convenient East Tennessee locations, there's a Calhoun's near you. So gather your friends, wear your orange, and experience why they're the taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's, proud to serve ball fans since 1983.
Hey fans, it's Coach Heupel. On the field, every play adds up in a long drive. Life works the same way. Whether you're building a home, raising a family, or running a small business, it takes consistency and a strong team behind you. That's why I turned to Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee. Just like our team, they're built for the long drive. Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee. Tennessee Insurance for Tennessee Life. Get a free quote at FBITN.com.
At the University of Tennessee, the Vols are known for competing at the highest level on the field, the court, and the diamond. And just like the Vols, Food City excels at everything too. They've got in-store butchers carving up certified Angus beef, fresh local produce, a full-service bakery, Fuel Bucks rewards, and one of the best beer and wine selections in town. Food City, the official supermarket of the Vols, and your home for everything Tennessee.
This week.
The Vol Network's Big Orange Rewind continues. Presented by Calhoun's.
Need a haircut? With the Great Clips app, you can put your name on the list from anywhere and head to the salon when you're up next. Because getting a great haircut shouldn't mean putting your life on hold. Great Clips, it's going to be great. Brent Hubbs, it's time for the Built Ford Tough Report. the Florida game. Time to take an in-depth look at Florida. Florida Gators with the Built Ford Tough Report, brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Tennessee football and the Ford F-150. Tough runs in our family. Gators are 3-7 overall, 2-5 in the SEC. Offensively, they're averaging 217 yards passing, 122 yards rushing, and 20.8 points per game. Brett, tell us about their interim coach.
Billy Gonzalez, a guy that has been around this league for a long time, wide receivers coach, really good recruiter, relationship guy, has never really been fast-tracked as a head coach, so to speak. But he's got Alabama ties and some of the people in that family there. He's been around this league for a long time. And I think when they made the change, I think he made the most sense because he was the most stabilizing sort of factor for them that was going to kind of be able to rally the troops. And, they tried to simplify some things on offense, I think, and try to get them going there a little bit. But a good guy, really, really, really respected in the coaching community by a lot of people. Longtime assistant coach who has been a terrific recruiter.
No feeling that he's a candidate for the permanent.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, here's where I think Florida is. And every coaching search, you don't go hire what you just hired. You go hire something different. And I think when you look at them, Florida has kind of tried to run the unproven guy route before. They've gone with the smaller conference, hot name guy, which was certainly the case
with Billy
Napier. It feels like they got to go get a proven guy. Now, their fans all want one guy, and we all know that. They want Lane Kiffin. That's who they want. The question is, if it's not Lane Kiffin, where do they land? I think it's going to be a guy with head coaching experience. I think the guy's got it. Their next hire will be somebody that's got some kind of a track record at the Power 4 level, more so than kind of taking a chance. And I hate to say the word taking a chance, but taking a chance on somebody scooting up to the big seat from an assistant chair or making that leap from a smaller conference to quote the big time.
This season, quarterback DJ Lagway completing 63% of his passes, 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and if you take out his performance in the season opener against Long Island, that's 9 touchdowns to 13 interceptions.
Yeah, he's not taking care of the ball well. You got to get after him. You got to pressure him. Got to make him uncomfortable. He has a tendency to throw the ball up. He threw an interception late in the fourth quarter interception. They had, I won't say control of that game, but they had sort of staved off a couple of Ole Miss deep drives inside the 5. They got in stops where Ole Miss had decided to go for it instead of kick a field goal. And you thought, okay, maybe. And, they're driving a little bit midfield, and he makes an errant throw that ends up being a tip ball for an interception. And he just has not done a good enough job taking care of the ball. They've had a harder time pushing it down the field than anybody thought they would be able to with accuracy.
A variety of receivers for them. The guy who was most impressive in the game at Ole Miss was Michael Sturdivant. 2 catches, 62 yards, including a 57-yard touchdown.
Yeah, he is a big play guy that they can get out and get going. That was a pretty good catch and run, and that one. They've been beat up pretty bad at that position this year with some guys. I mean, Eugene Wilson III is a proven guy. He's been there seemingly 167 years at Florida.
He played with Spurrier.
He did.
He didn't play for Spurrier. He played with
That's
Spurrier.
what it feels like.
Yeah.
But, he's a guy who's missed a lot of time. Dallas Wilson's another receiver that's missed a lot of time. Vernell Brown III is a good player. He did not play in this game. He was a late add to the injury report. We'll see where he's at. That was a guy who kind of emerged as a weapon with the other injuries that they've dealt with. So they've had a hard time. They've been beat up pretty good. I don't know how many of these guys are going to go. We'll see if they get anybody off the injury report, if it improves or if it gets worse. We'll certainly keep an eye on Tennessee's injury report that comes out on Wednesday. Where is Tennessee with Wendell Moy? What's the status with him? He came out of the injury tent, did not look to be in any kind of great pain, was walking okay, talking to his teammates, and then he goes into the locker room and further testing MRI. So we'll see what the results of that is. one of those deals where looks can be deceiving sometimes. I'm not trying to create panic, but I don't think it's a slam dunk that everything's just great and he's suddenly back and not missing. And then obviously Miles Kitzel.
Yeah, the Kitzelman thing is the one that you're kind of like, oh no.
Yeah, and so we'll see what the results the results of that are. I mean, given his reaction, it would be a surprise to me to see him play the next couple of weeks. But again, I'm not a doctor. I've not seen the test. I haven't heard anything about that. But just his reaction to it, you could tell that there was some real concern. He had some real concerns about it.
Back to Florida for just a second. Sophomore running back Jaden Ball, leading rusher, 808 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a good back. Bigger back, plays with some power, kind of a one-cut-and-go kind of guy. Tennessee's going to have to tackle well. They're going to have to tackle him. If they don't, he can get out and get on you and get gone. So I think at the second level, Tennessee's tackling at the linebacker level is going to be important. They've been better there the last 2 weeks. The new catchphrase, gap integrity, basically don't get washed out of your gap. You got to hold your gap and stay there. But because he's a guy that can make plays. He is a nice running back, and he hadn't had a ton of help around him. They haven't played the quarterback position well. They've moved the ball. They haven't finished drives. They've turned it over a lot. But 800 yards, he's had a solid year running the football, and Tennessee's going to have to tackle him for sure.
Some good players on defense for Florida. One of the names, inside linebacker Miles Graham.
Mm-hmm. And is a guy who can play downhill again. He was banged up and was an injury guy this past week, but certainly a talented guy who plays fast, downhill in the run game really well, physical, classic linebacker for Florida, if you will. Good player and is very disruptive.
The Built Ford Tough Report was brought to you by your local Ford dealer, proud sponsors of the Tennessee Volunteers. More questions, more comments, more to talk about. Big Orange Rewind continues on the Vol Radio Network, presented by Calhoun's.
It's football time in Tennessee, and Alumni Hall is the place to gear up for your Tennessee Vols. Shop the largest and newest selection of top brands like Nike, Columbia, Peter Millar, New Era, Yeti, and more. Mix and match champion tees, 2 for $38, and spend $150 to earn $10 Hall cash for your next visit. Shop AlumniHall.com. Visit Alumni Hall in Knoxville, Murfreesboro, Bristol, or Johnson City, or download their app. Alumni Hall, the ultimate volunteer shopping destination.
Tennessee fans, your game day isn't complete without Calhoun's. Whether you're inside Neyland Stadium for the game or tailgating on campus or at home, Calhoun's has you covered with shareable small bites, family feed packs, and party platters. Imagine your tailgate piled high with hickory smoked ribs, tender pulled pork, and that famous barbecue chicken. The best of Tennessee on one plate. Call ahead or order online and make your game day legendary. Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
A farm, a family, and a tradition of premium fresh sausage that's lasted almost a century. Using only the freshest ingredients and finest cuts of meat for flavor that is locked in instantly. Each bite of Swaggerty's Farm sausage transports you back to a warm, cozy southern kitchen, leaving you satisfied and ready to take on the day. Swaggerty's Farm, quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. Now available at your local retailers.
Fall fans, ready to score big on your next home? Clayton Homes, Oakwood Homes, and Love Homes are proud sponsors of Tennessee Athletics and proud to help you find your dream home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for your forever home, their teams across Tennessee have your back. With 29 locations statewide and Energy Smart Homes designed for year-round savings and a lifetime of comfort, it's never been easier to make the move. Stop by today and see why so many families and Vol fans trust Clayton, Oakwood, and Love Homes to turn home ownership into a win.
This is Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
Enjoying tonight's program, enjoying the show with you, and always enjoy Calhoun's. I had Calhoun's before the show, as a matter of fact. A taste of Tennessee, 9 convenient locations in Knoxville and surrounding areas. Proud sponsor of the Vols. Look for Calhoun's inside Neyland Stadium before the Vanderbilt game.
And it's about white chicken chili time.
It is. By the way, the Vanderbilt game's got to be 3:30, right?
Isn't it supposed to be an early game?
Well, it's one of the two. It's like either 3:30 or 4:15 or 4:30, something like that. Because remember, the last weekend we have 3 games on Friday.
Right. Yeah, I would have. I mean,
that's got to be the.
Yes. I mean, it would make sense that that's the case. Yeah, I think 3:30. I think 3:30.
Do you think we get the 6-day window again until we find out that they're?
Nah, I mean, not with all the schedule that the way that schedule is broken up that week. I wouldn't think so. I mean, because the other games, like what games are important? I mean, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. That's not a Saturday game. That's a really important game for playoff things. I mean, Vanderbilt, if they can beat Kentucky, then they're going to be right in the middle of it still.
Right.
You've got Texas A&M and Texas.
Isn't that Friday night?
Yeah, I think that's a Friday game too. So, I mean, it's too important of a game not to be. I think that I can't imagine they're going to exercise the 3:30 window exercise a 6-day window on that one. It wouldn't.
Well, because it was already set to be in that flex space in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, now if both teams were to lose this week, could that change it into where it goes in that window? I mean, I guess it could, but when you look at what else is out there and available, it would make sense that game is the 3:30 game.
All right, back to the text line, 865-657-1278. John in East Knox County. What is up with some players wearing Bermuda shorts? I thought there was a rule the pants had to cover the knees.
No, sir.
I don't know that Bermuda shorts is how I would term it.
Okay, how would you term it?
Like somebody riding in the Tour de France, like bicycle shorts.
Yes.
But the Oklahoma kicker drew a lot of ire because he did not seem to be following the spirit of the rule, and he's not the only one.
Nobody wears a knee pad, and nobody.
But isn't it the rule?
Nobody's pants goes over their knee.
But isn't it the rule?
It might be the rule, but it's an unenforced rule. It's like some basketball games, they tell you to tuck your shirt in, and then there'll be other stretches of that game where nobody cares if your shirt's tucked in or not. Nobody's going and saying, hey, now in the high school game, it's a point of emphasis. And I have seen on numerous occasions them tell a player he has to go out of the game because his pants do not cover his knee, and he has to pull his pants down.
It's not just look. I mean, they want the knee pad there to protect the knee.
They don't wear knee pads. They don't wear thigh pads. They wear the smallest shoulder pads they can get. It's moving to rugby. I mean, the days of the guy wearing the big Al Wilson shoulder pads, nobody wears shoulder pads that look like that. Nobody's got a thigh pad in. I mean, they're, quote, integrated into their girdle or into that. I mean, there are no true thigh pads anymore. And nobody wears knee pads, and nobody pulls their pants over their knees. I mean, not just kickers.
I know.
I mean, it's everybody. And a bunch of people on Tennessee's team, their pants don't come down to their knee or over their knee. And it's not just a kicker. It's guys who are blocking. It's guys who are running pass patterns. It's guys who are tackling in the linebacker and safety level. It just is. It's just not a thing. And I mean, from a safety standpoint, I'm like, give me some big old shoulder pads.
Sure.
But that's not what anybody does anymore.
Well, especially, I mean, all these kids come from high school and they need a shoulder surgery before they can start playing in college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. And
I mean, a lot of them do.
Yeah. And some of that's shoulder pad, some of that's bad tackling technique, and some of those guys just play with it till they get to college and get it fixed. But yeah, I mean, I think it needs to be addressed and from a safety standpoint, but I don't see anything changing. So I think you're going to see a lot of knees. I think you're going to see. I mean, there are some guys wear basketball shorts that are longer than football pants.
Right. I don't understand.
But I mean, it's not the cool thing to wear those, and nobody's enforcing it. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where if you do it enough and everybody does it, then nobody.
But it's also an advantage to a kicker. I mean, to Oklahoma's kicker. I mean, it's advantageous.
That's why no kicker has pants going over their knees.
Well, but some are certainly longer than others.
Yeah, now his was an exception. His was mid-thigh.
Right.
I mean, most people go to the top of their knee, but they don't go over the knee.
He almost looked like an 80s college basketball player.
Those were true Tour de France pants,
Yes.
is what those were.
I was waiting for him to.
At one point, I'm like, are you going to put some football pants over your girdle? Because that's what it looks like you're wearing
Well,
right
he came
now.
running out there, and you're like, what?
Yeah. Did you forget part of your uniform?
But he made 3 kicks over 50 yards, which, quite frankly, it doesn't hurt him in order to do that.
No.
I mean, that certainly helps him be able to do that.
Nope. But to answer his question, I don't foresee any changes taking place there.
More of your questions as we continue with this edition of Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's at 865-657-1278. Text us your questions.
Today's Big Orange Rewind, sponsored by
First Horizon Bank, Big Bank Solutions, Small Bank Spirit, the official bank of the Vols. Swaggerty's Farm Sausage, quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. By the Tennessee Fund. Join the My All campaign today at IWillGiveMyAll.com. Rackley Roofing, the official roofer of the Vols. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit RJV Kubota locally in Knoxville or Nashville. RJV Kubota, a proud supporter of the Vols.
It's football time in Tennessee, and that means it's time for Calhoun's. Whether you're headed to the game or watching from home, make Calhoun's your pregame, postgame, and every game headquarters. From hickory smoked pulled pork to the legendary ribs, juicy burgers, and mouthwatering brisket, Calhoun's delivers the flavor that fuels Big Orange fans. With 9 convenient East Tennessee locations, there's a Calhoun's near you. So gather your friends, wear your orange, and experience why they're the taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's, proud to serve Vol fans since 1983.
Vol Nation, if you're looking for quality performance apparel, look no further than Turtleson. Founded by UT alumni out of Bristol, Tennessee, Turtleson designs clothes and accessories that fit your lifestyle. From the office to the country club or the Tennessee Volunteers tailgate, Turtleson has the apparel that looks as good as it feels. Ask for Turtleson wherever you buy your volunteer gear or visit Turtleson.com to learn more. Turtleson is a proud sponsor of the Vol Network. Go Vols!
There are big banks with large capital resources, and there are small banks that go above and beyond. And there's a bank in Tennessee that offers both. You guessed it, First Horizon. They're big enough to offer tailored solutions to help retail and business customers, but small enough to maintain that personal touch. No opportunity too big, no detail too small. First Horizon, big bank muscle, small bank hustle, and the official bank of the Vols.
The week ahead. The final analysis on this week. Big Orange Rewind. Presented by Calhoun's.
Basketball on Monday night. The Vols playing host to the Rice Owls, and Rob Lanier, who was an assistant with Rick Barnes at Texas and at Tennessee as the program got started, went on to become a head coach and is now in his second year at Rice. They got a big win over Texas A&M on Saturday, so they will come to Food City Center Monday night at 2-2. Tip-off is set for 8:30 Eastern Time. We are on the air with Inside Tennessee Basketball at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Chris Lofton, John Wilkerson, Larry Stone, and myself. Rob Lanier did some good things at Tennessee, and looks like he's building a program at Rice.
One of the good guys, relationship-driven guy, good basketball coach, but got a lot of CEO skills about him. A good manager of people, a guy who sees big picture things. He can also coach, but he can manage a locker room. He can manage all the things around it. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a class individual who will tell you he is rooted in the teachings of Rick Barnes. And I think that a lot of the qualities you see about him are Rick Barnes qualities, particularly the latter part of Rick Barnes' career's qualities. And he's incorporated them. He did a really good job with Georgia State when he was there, and obviously has moved on to Rice and is off to great. That's a big win for them over Texas A&M, a really big win.
Sure it is. And what are they built on? Defense, toughness. That sounds familiar.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and remember this. I mean, he wasn't just here for a few years with Rick Barnes. He's been around Rick Barnes for a long, long time, and kept getting more and more opportunities within Barnes's program to be groomed, to be ready to be a coach. And he was very much ready when he left here to go be a head coach.
So Tennessee will have Rice on Monday night, and then on Thursday, Tennessee State, and then it's off to Vegas.
Hello.
Where they get Rutgers on Monday, Houston on Tuesday, and then based on how they do in the first two games and how the rest of the bracket goes, they'll play somebody else on either Wednesday or Thanksgiving Day. John Wilkerson and Steve Hamer will have the call of that because we will be preparing for Tennessee Vanderbilt football. And so going to be the ramps way up after this week for Tennessee basketball.
Yeah, and I think I like the way the schedule falls and the way it goes, because I think you have had some games, and you're going to have some games where you're going to have to play well. You can't just roll it out there and be done. But you've had the ability to mess with rotations, to get a better feel for who plays well with whom, and also allow some of your newcomers, whether they're a freshman like Nademan or it's a transfer like Jacoby Gillespie or whoever else, to find their way and kind of build and grow to get to this point. So I think I mean, I don't know if Tennessee can go out there and win or not, but I think they're going to be at the point where they need to play that level of competition to figure out where they are and then kind of start to build again from there into the next phase of their season.
Well, then the next phase, the following week, December 2nd, playing at Syracuse on the 2nd, coming back here, going to Nashville on the 6th to play Illinois.
Good basketball team.
Good basketball team. 10 days off because guys are in exams. And then December 16th, Louisville here.
Yep. Another good basketball team.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, again, I like what they did early with all the newcomers, and now you're getting ready to get into the test and see where you are, to get a really good feel for your team and your players to understand where they are before you get into the SEC grind.
So Lady Vols, interesting scheduling because they played on Thursday, and then they don't play again until next Thursday against MTSU. And so now Kim Caldwell gets a week to work with her basketball team after saying, following Thursday's, I don't want to call it lackluster, but it was certainly not what they wanted, a 10-point victory. Bottom line is, she said, now we've got time to do corrections. And she said, because of the schedule, we did not have that time. And so they're in the midst of being able to make those corrections as they move on in their schedule.
And I love her candor. She's like, I hate November. I don't
November.
I don't like November. When I go home for Thanksgiving, don't talk to me about basketball because I don't have anything good to say about basketball in November.
Why?
After Christmas, we can talk. I think it's because it takes, particularly when you're playing newcomers, it takes a while to understand the system in terms of how it's played in a game. You can practice it, but how you have to play it to understand where you're really at from a physical standpoint, to really start to have that system wear people down. It probably shows up more in December, January, moving forward. She said a year ago that she would not know anything really about her basketball team. It was going to be ugly, I think is how she described it, until you got to the first of the year. What she realized was her November schedule last year was so soft, as she said this past week, I didn't learn anything about my basketball team last November because we didn't play enough quality opponents to learn about who we are. We're learning about them now. Belmont's a good team. They'll be an NCAA tournament team. They got MTSU, and then they'll sort of get into it. And she's got some freshmen and new players who are learning how all of this pieces together. And they got to learn, the effort to rebound. They've got to learn when's a good shot. And when you have the green light all the time, what's a good shot and what's not a good shot. There's still good shots and bad shots, even when you have the green line to shoot it. So there's some things that she can reset with her team this week that should help them move into the next stage of their scheduling. So, yes, she really likes the fact that they can get in the lab, so to speak, on the court and really clean up some stuff. They haven't had a real chance to do that.
And very interesting, totally interesting 2 weeks for Tennessee basketball, both men's and women's.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's very interesting. You're going to get a real feel for where Rick Barnes' team is, and you're going to learn a lot about Kim Caldwell's team because you start looking at their schedule. UCLA, there's some you're going on the West Coast, play a couple teams out there. They're good basketball teams. They've got to make a real step this week, and she knows that. And that doesn't mean they have to go undefeated the rest of the non-conference, but they've got to use this week the right way to help them build towards conference play at the end of December.
Chuck Giralman is now the associate head coach of Tennessee baseball. Had a chance to visit with him last week. He'll be a guest on the Mike Keith Show Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. The show is 3 to 5 Eastern Time on the Tennessee Athletics YouTube channel. Wow, is he impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for Josh Elander to get one of his former coaches at TCU to leave Florida and come to Tennessee is really, really impressive. And I know there are some things going on at Florida right now. But
he was the interim head coach.
He was the interim head coach. That's right.
He was running the program,
right,
and he left it to join his friend in Knoxville.
A great baseball program to come join another great baseball program in the same conference. But, I mean, his work with catchers, his work with hitting, and especially his work with defense.
Well,
he's a master at defense. And in this time and place, listen, for years and years and years, people in baseball have always found ways to get their hitters on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to trade a little defense for more hitting, you're generally going to do that. Today, everybody totally does that. And so you've got to make your defense as tight as you can possibly make it, or else it's killing you in ball games because you're trying to get the bats in the lineup.
Well, and I think for Josh Elander, as he elevates himself into this role and moves up the chair, so to speak, to bring in an experienced veteran guy to help him in a non-pitching coach way, and the other things that you're talking about, hitting and defense and working with the catchers and some of those things, I think it's important to bring in a guy with experience. I think anytime you're a young coach like that and you're getting your first opportunity at this level, Tony Vitello did it with Frank Anderson, and it was a real help. I think for Josh Elander, this is a help. I know Frank Anderson's the pitching coach, but I think it's a help to have a guy with this kind of experience that can help you with the day-to-day understanding of all that you have to do as a head coach. Hey, I've got all these responsibilities, but you have trust in this guy you've known for years who's a seasoned veteran that's not learning on the job.
And they lose their strength and conditioning coach, Quentin Eberhardt, which is a big deal, and immediately turn around and the same day.
Yeah.
Keegan Noll had spent the 2025 season as the assistant strength and conditioning coach with Milwaukee Brewers, spent 7 years with the Chicago Cubs, and was their head strength and conditioning coach in 2022. So you've got a guy who's so impressive in Q that everybody felt so strongly about. You hate to lose him. Not a surprise he's going with Tony Vitello to the big leagues.
Correct.
But then you go get this guy, Noll, and you're like, how do you do that? I mean, that's the kind of aces that Tennessee holds in their hand right now when it comes to baseball.
Well, and clearly Josh Elander had a plan and an anticipation of something maybe happening.
Sure.
And I mean, it wasn't like, oh, what do I do? I mean, he knew exactly where he was going to go. And when you see the moves he's made this early with the hiring of assistant coach and the strength coach, you understand what he did to win the interview with Danny White, in my opinion, because the plan was very clear. Now, has it gone exactly the way he mapped it out to him? No, but it was very clear. This is my plan. If we have to go this direction, I'm going this direction. I want to go this direction. We're going to do this. And I think those are the things that made Danny White comfortable to say he's ready for this job, because there's not been any panic with anything that's happened. He's had a quick answer for a quick decision, and he's brought in quality people to fill roles that have become vacant.
We're going to Gainesville Friday for the game on Saturday. What are you excited about as far as going back to the Swamp?
What am I excited about?
Are you excited to be on the sideline?
I am excited to be on the sideline down there. And I mean, this game's, I don't know what the atmosphere will be. I know that there'll be some Florida fans there who have I've been down there enough to know and walk in that stadium and you walk by people and they go, they don't think there's a chance they're going to lose this football game. Not one chance. The confidence that they exude when they get in there, fans, players, and everything else, is pretty remarkable when it comes to Tennessee. And so can Tennessee go and erase that confidence? Can they get out of the gates fast and really cause doubt?
And you think?
I think they can. I think they've been a fast-starting team. This past week an exception because they threw the interception on the first drive. But Tennessee has started fast. What they have to do is they can't just have the one good drive to start the game and then kind of, they got to put back-to-back drives together. Finish when you're moving the ball like the way they did at Oklahoma. That's got to be a 14-point game. That can't be just a 7-point game. You got to keep going, and that's what Tennessee got to do Saturday night.
Pedal to the metal on offense.
And keep swinging when something bad happens.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks to Brent Hubbs for being here for Big Orange Rewind every single week. I'm Mike Keith, reminding you about the Mike Keith Show this Thursday, 3 to 5 Eastern Time on the Tennessee Athletics YouTube channel. We will talk to you then.
Big Orange Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's is the perfect place to rewind after every Tennessee game.
Rewind one more time to this weekend's action. Catch the podcast at utsports.com. Big Orange Rewind. We are the Vol Network.